Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. A very warm welcome to the session Real-Life Case Studies on Digital Assets and Blockchain Investment. First of all, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Patricia, and it's my pleasure to be your MC for the session. Before we get started, I would like to take a few minutes to remind our participants of the following. First of all, this session will be conducted in English, and simultaneous interpretation will be provided. For on-site audience, you may collect headsets from the counter at the entrance. For online audience, the microphones and videos of participants will be muted at all times. If you wish to ask questions, please submit your questions using the Q&A function. While we may not be able to address all questions during the seminar, unanswered questions will be replied individually via email after the event. Today, we are very honored to have 4 panelists in this session, and we are also going to invite the moderator on stage. And our expert panelists will share their insights and experience on some success cases in digital assets and blockchain applications. Now, without further ado, please join me and welcome on stage Mr. Victor Yim, Head of FinTech of Hong Kong Cyberport Management Company Limited. Please welcome. Next, we have Mr. Benny Ho, Head of Business Development of Animoca Brands. Please welcome. Next, we have Mr. Brian Chan, Investment Director of VSFG. Please welcome. And joining us online, we have Mr. Yon Rong, co-founder of StepEnd. And we would also like to introduce our moderator of the session today, Mr. Sam Lee, Chairman of the Organizing Committee of Digital Asset Series and TADS Awards, and founder and CEO of CoinStreet Partners. Please welcome. Thank you so much. And now over to you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sam Lee. I'm the founder and CEO of CoinStreet Partners. It's a great pleasure to be here, to be a moderator today. And also thank you for Invest Hong Kong for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to support this great event today. Blockchain have been picked up and accelerate in the adoption in the past few years. Since Bitcoin in 2008, Ethereum 2015, and also subsequently stablecoin, NFT, GameFi, and Metaverse. Now, innovators around the world are adopting blockchain application in different industries. Today, we are joined by a group of experts from different backgrounds to help us to have a deep dive about the real-life case study of blockchain application and digital assets. So without further delay, let me pass to them for a quick introduction.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me here. My name is Victor Yim, Head of FinTech from Cyberport. So maybe let me first introduce a little bit of Cyberport. So Cyberport is one of the 2 incubation hubs of Hong Kong, wholly owned by the Hong Kong government. Our role is really to nurture and develop the Hong Kong digital tech startup ecosystem to support them to provide a major contribution to the Hong Kong economy. And I'm responsible for the FinTech cluster, whereas blockchain technology as well as digital asset and cryptocurrency are under our FinTech cluster. In fact, we contribute, those 2 clusters basically contribute 20% of FinTech companies in our community, and 50% of the blockchain technology company within Hong Kong, and 72% of the digital asset and crypto-related startup within Hong Kong are part of the Cyberport FinTech ecosystem. So Cyberport has been a cradle for crypto and Web3 companies. There are indeed some outflow of these companies and talent in the last few years because of the regulatory landscape. However, with the new regulatory regime in virtual asset to be taken effective next year, we do see a huge opportunity for Hong Kong to regain its position as the hub of virtual asset and Web3 with a clear legal and regulatory framework. There's also signal from the regulators looking at reassessing the feasibility of retail participating in the region, which will open up further investment opportunity. We work closely with already strong cyberport ecosystem, such as virtual asset exchange, custodian, and other external sell-by-side firms, professional services firm, etc., in promoting and supporting the healthy development of the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Please, Benny.
Sure, yeah, I'll do a quick intro on myself as well. I'm Benny. I head up business development at Animoca Brands. For those of you who may not be as familiar with our company, we are a global leader in Web3 and blockchain, based right here in Hong Kong. Our office is actually at Cyberport. This is a coincidence. We didn't plan to sit here next to each other, but we are based in Cyberport. I would say, if anything, when we think about Animoca Brands, we are a very mission-driven company. And that mission is to deliver true digital property rights, and by means of that, to create a new digital asset class and a more equitable framework for the internet. So what that means essentially is, if you were to look at the internet as it is framed right now, the common adage is to say, data is the new oil, right? And so overwhelmingly, a lot of the internet models that we see in Web 2 are based on advertising, based on monetization of eyeballs. Now, that relationship can change, I think, with blockchain and with blockchain technologies in Web 3 because of digital property ownership, which means that your data or your digital assets can actually belong to you. You can have control over how is it that you want to use it, how is it that you want to give access to it, and how is it that you want it to be monetized and the share that you would get. That's why we think it's a more equitable framework for the internet. Now, in terms of how we translate that into what we do, I would say predominantly two things. I think on one hand is to think about kind of the use cases and utilities that are brought forth with NFTs in particular in this moment. And I think a big part of that, if we're to kind of trace the history a little bit, even though it's a very short history of 3 years, 4 years, but if you're to trace that short history, we've really kind of moved from NFTs as a vanity type of project into NFTs being imbued with utilities. I'm sure we're going to get more into that later today. And in terms of NFT utilities, I think one of the biggest use cases that we're seeing in the market right now would be in games and GameFi. Coincidentally, with Animoca Brands, we were founded back in 2014 as a mobile gaming studio. And so we have that DNA of creating games, and therefore it just makes a lot of sense for us to kind of double down on that space. And so within our portfolio, we have games such as The Sandbox, which I'm sure many of you may be familiar with, and also other Web3 titles such as Phantom Galaxies, Life Beyond, etc. That's, I would say, half of what we do. We're operators. There's another half is on investments. So over the past roughly about 4 years or so, we've actually made over 380 investments in the blockchain, in the Web3 space. And it's somewhat sector agnostic. So we're invested across, obviously, a lot in games, but also in marketplaces, cybersecurity, wallets, et cetera, et cetera. And the thinking there is, if we want to achieve our mission of promoting true digital property ownership, you have to, one, be able to onboard users from day one, which is right now, which would be by way of games, and we see that as a clear utility. Two then is further down the road, and it might be 2, 3, 5 years, whatever that might be, as people have crypto wallets, tokens, NFTs, and all the kind of Web3 utilities, Web3 infrastructure, they're going to ask for more use cases. And so that use case could span across various different sectors, and we're investing heavily across Web3 in order to position ourselves to serve those use cases in the future. So net-net, we are, I think, widely known as a game company, but we're not only a game company, we're all operators as well as investors.
Thank you, Benny, for sharing about the background of Animoca and yourself. Brian, would you like to share some background of yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here today. A quick introduction of myself first is my name is Brian Chan. I'm investment director at WeChat. So a little bit more about the background of WeChat. So the company is an asset management platform. So on one hand, I would say, to make it really simple, is we have our family office, ultra high level as client. And then on the other hand, we actually have different type of product. So the company itself actually was founded in 2015. So in the very beginning, so we focus on alternative investments. So as you guys may heard of, like VC, PE, funds related stuff. And a little bit special about the company is that from time to time, we try to focus on really like next generation industry, including e-sport, including alternative protein, AI machine learning, and of course, one of them would be blockchain and Web3. And in 2020, the company is actually is the first asset management firm that get uplifted type license in Hong Kong, which allowed us to help our clients to manage 100% of their portfolio as virtual assets. And because of this, we also launch our Bitcoin tracker funds, and also we have a long-short event-driven funds from investment product perspective. And down the road, actually, we see, I would say, we see crypto blockchain not only a technology that can help, the decentralization finance and then the decentralization concept or NFT, the gaming things. We actually see it more as a technology that can actually empower assets to turn every single type of illiquid assets to turn into a digital asset and virtual assets. And then one quick example would be, I assume that all of you guys are very familiar with the real estate industry in Hong Kong. So it is a relatively large ticket size, illiquid asset class. So one thing that we try to do is really to leverage on the STO technology, the blockchain technology to do the STO, security token offering, tokenizations to help to increase the liquidity of this type of illiquid assets. So real estate is only one type of asset class that we have in mind. And down the road, we believe that other type of asset class, for example, funds, LP interests that we always heard about, could actually leverage on tokenization to increase the liquidity of this type of assets. So that is one of the reasons why right now we're actually helping one of the listco in Hong Kong to issue a bond STO, and then so that, to try to run the process together with the SFC to make sure that we are, doing all these type of blockchain-related technology, crypto-related technology in a relatively licensed environment. So yeah, that's a really, really high-level description about myself and also the company. So yep, thanks.
Thank you, Brian. So let's see our other guest, Yon, who joined us over Zoom from Sydney. Is he able to get online to do an introduction here?
That he's already.
Oh, sorry, Yon.
He'll be here online. We cannot hear you yet, Mr. Ong. Would you like to unmute your phone so that we can hear you? Okay, for our on-site guests, we'll be able to hear from Mr. Ong. Hello, Mr. Ong, you're here? All right, for our online audience, or those of you joining us on-site, you may also log on to the online platform to view the video from Mr. Ong, but then we'll be able to hear him on-site right here. All right, since we're handling some technical issues at the back, perhaps Mr. Lee can continue to chat with our other panelists for now.
Yon, maybe we'll come back to your introduction later. Okay, they're trying to fix the audio issue here. All right. Well, I do a quick introduction. So Yon is the co-founder of StepN. You probably heard about StepN a lot in recent news. So it's a very exciting company. He's not able to join us on site today, but he's in Sydney. Join us in Zoom. Hopefully we can fix the issue and we can hear from him. So as you can see, we have a wonderful panel today, and I'm your moderator, Samson Lee. So I'm the co-founder of ConStreet, and I'm also co-organizer of Digital Asset Series, which is, is it working? Okay, which is a largest educational series around digital assets in Hong Kong, currently supported by InvestHK, Hong Kong Science Park, Hong Kong Cyberport, 5 universities, and 7 industrial organizations. Our objective is to provide free education to general public around digital assets. I'm also co-organizer of TARTS Awards, which is the world's first international awards for tokenized asset and digitized securities. So without further delay, coming back to the panel. So when we are looking at meaningful real-life cases, we are looking beyond proof of concept. We want something with more traction, such as delivery a solid value proposition to users, user adoptions, user traffic, and ideally endorsements from some major clients. So Victor, a Cyberport sorry, is a cradle of many good projects. You must be at the forefront of seeing maturing of proof of concept to more real life case study. Is there any good example you can share with us today?
Thank you, Sam. So today I will be sharing some use cases which are more layman, easy to understand, and rather disruptive, in my opinion, than those very crypto-specific mechanisms such as stacking, and also less on those NFT-related stuff, which I'm sure the other two guests will be sharing. So first of all, I encounter a pretty easy to understand, but I believe in its potential. There's a project called Decentralized Commercial Bank, which is also incubated company from Cyberport. So basically, the idea is very easy to understand. It's called Decentralized Treasury Account with Budget-Linked Credit Card. So if you guys are familiar with, there is a couple of good Web2 players. One of those are called Neat. It's actually one of the pioneer, also originated from Cyberport. Basically, Neat provide you with a virtual bank account that helps pay and collect funds in multi-currency, manage expenses, and also with some seamless integration with accounting software such as Xero. So just by moving the same concept into a decentralized manner, it comes this project. So if you are familiar with DAO, one of the major problem is the debate between using the multi-sig wallet or using the whole DAO using the whole DAO voting mechanism whenever some money has to move from the DAO to elsewhere. The multi-sig actually create a bottleneck, and also it creates the risk of the money being stolen, and there are some of these cases happening. So this solution actually offers a decentralized execution based on smart contract, on-chain budget system, which will limit and also have pre-approval condition. So and also the whole platform is no code and very simple for DAO to use. ERC 20 and ERC 721 are supported for token mining for different purposes like voting or utility token. And it complies with regulations as there's no securities nor collective investment schemes. So this is one of the good examples. I believe that it could potentially not just disrupt, but provide an alternative to traditional banking, which more or less is decentralized. There's another one I want to bring to the table is this project is not from Hong Kong, but again, quite inspirative. It's a decentralized wireless infrastructure. So maybe some of you have heard about it. They have close to 1 million hotspots. And the mechanism is proof of coverage, and it is hardware driven. So it started off as a low power, long range wireless protocol for specific use case such as pet tracking or IoT device like sensors. Then it's also moved to enable self-built 5G network based on 3.5G unlicensed band with multiple vendor support. For example, one of the vendors called Freedom Fee, which provides a bundle like 5G hotspot as low as 3,000 USD. So they have close to 1,900 nodes across 700 cities in the US and raised 200 million in Series D with a 1.2 billion valuation. So all seems great, right? But then the network actually only makes 6,500 in revenue in last June, with people spending like 250 million buying hotspots in hoping to earn a passive income. So I guess these are very interesting project that could disrupt the future. But then it's still a long way to go. However, this kind of infrastructure is really important And I would very much hope to see this network getting traction and prove that Web3 infrastructure project works. Maybe something that allows existing surplus to work will easier to get traction, just like the old days of Airbnb and Uber, and instead of building something new. Yeah, thank you, Sam.
Amazing. These projects out on the field, so actually people participating, building the community, and grow from there, right? That's good. So Benny, a big challenge for you, right? Because your company, as you mentioned, have a portfolio of 380 companies, right? If you have to pick one or two that you think is a really great example for the real-life case study, what would you put forward?
Yeah, I'll talk about more sector rather than specific companies. I think to move beyond a POC into something that feels a little bit more tangible, more real. At the core of that question is actually where's the value creation and the value capture, right? And tied to that, obviously, is where's the utility, right? Maybe no utility, no value, right? And so I think probably two areas where we're really seeing that proposition, that thesis manifesting itself and very, very quickly too, and the adoption is moving very fast. One obviously is in games. I think I mentioned that a little bit. And the reason for that actually is because it's not so much to say, I think maybe a year ago or maybe a little bit more, the rhetoric around games and GameFi was a lot more about earning, right? So the term of play to earn kind of surfaced. I think we're quickly moving towards a different model, which has to do with play to own, right? And the difference here is to say, what is the value of ownership? And the value of ownership is actually very simple, right? Which is to say, if anybody here plays games even 20, 30 years ago, right? Imagine buying a cartridge, right? Or like a CD back in the day. Or even when you think about now, like why is it that PS5 being the newest console still supports the CDs, right? It's almost counterintuitive. And the reason for that is because cartridges, CDs, there's residual value. A lot of gamers, what they would do is actually buy the cartridge, buy the CD, play for 3 months, 6 months, whatever it may be, and then sell it back on a second-hand market. The reason you can do that is because you purchased it. It's your asset. You own it. And I think a little bit of that ethos disappeared with free-to-play games and online games, particularly on mobile. And it's going to come back now with Web3 because with blockchain technologies, you can actually own your items. So if back in the day, if without mentioning titles, anybody played one of those big MMORPG games, you may have spent hundreds, thousands of dollars, right? Purchasing shields, skins, swords, and whatnot. Once you no longer play that game or once that game shuts down, none of those assets belong to you. And that idea is now being turned on its head. With Web3 games, all those assets still belong to you. They still belong in your wallet. Even if you were not to play those games anymore, if that game were to shut down, you have the ownership and you have the freedom to actually leverage those assets in other ways possible, right? And so we're quickly beginning to see that from a consumer perspective, people understand the value creation and value capture that Web3 technologies can bring into the gaming sector. And we think that this is going to grow exponentially. One is that the gaming sector as a whole, right now is about $180 billion, $200 billion industry, right? USD. And that is actually larger than all of film and music combined. And it's also growing faster. I think Bain actually came out with a report just last week that said, that projected that the global gaming industry is going to hit $300 billion in the next few years, right? So growing very, very quickly and a very clear, I would say, change in the relationship between digital assets and the consumers themselves that we never saw before, right? And so that is happening as we speak, and it's going to accelerate. I think another area where we're seeing this is actually in NFT ticketing, where the value capture, a lot of it has to do with secondary markets. So as everybody is familiar, if you were to buy a concert ticket, first of all, you'd be lucky to be able to purchase on primary sales. Second of all is if you were to purchase it on secondary sales, the prices are very, very high, right, compared to primary prices. The issue, however, is that the event organizers do not capture any of that value capture on the secondary market, right? And so with NFT tickets, one is because it's blockchain-based, if you're unable to solve the issue of secondary market trading, at least the event organizers can share into the value capture of those trades. Two then is because it's immutable, because it's on the blockchain, you cannot fake a ticket, right? And so these are a couple of reasons for why we're seeing in the market as a whole that if you were to pinpoint the value creation and value capture of a blockchain project and be able to articulate the utility, these are the areas in which consumer adoption are growing very, very quickly.
Very interesting. So you very focused on the gaming sector. So may I ask you, on the gaming, do you more anticipate a lot of conversion, as you mentioned, from the console game into Web3 game, or they more like open up to a whole new market of non-gamer before and convert them to be a gamer moving forward?
Yeah, so there are different ways to think about that. I think more likely than not, right? The least frictionless way would be to convert existing gamers from Web2 into Web3, because obviously the barrier to entry is very, very low. You're already familiar with how to play games. It's just a matter of being able to present that valid proposition that I mentioned, right? But in terms of kind of new gamer adoption, a lot of that also has to do with content, right? And I think we see over and over again, regardless of whether it's Web2 or Web3, we see over and over again that if you have good content, people will come and play, right? So if there is good content and there's an added element of Web3 ownership, I think that drives immense value and it could act as an immense catalyst for adoption.
Interesting. Thank you, Benny. So Brian, as a VSFG is the first licensed crypto fund and asset management firm in Hong Kong, I'm sure you are looking at many deals every day, right? So what is your perspective? What would be, you thinking about real-life case study, successful case study?
Sure. I mean, when we talk about like investment from our side, it's usually, when we take a step back, I mean, when we try to look at it from investing into a company by ourselves. So first of all, we try to look at it from whether the company has synergy to, ourselves and as a asset management platform. So from that perspective, we try to think of, okay, if we believe in Web3 and blockchain and also digital assets, then is there any platform in the market that can actually help us to facilitate, a mass adoption, or actually help us to kind of drive the traditional old money into the so-called Web3 blockchain industry? So I would say from time to time, yes, we see actually quite a lot of interesting project in the market, including one called ADDX. It's not a Hong Kong company, it's from Singapore. So basically what they're trying to do is pretty much like a tokenization as surface, offering STO surface to different asset owner, including real estate owner, or actually if you are a LP of a company, or if you're a GP of a company, you can actually through the platform to tokenize your LP interest, your fund, with one click, and then list it into the platform, and then at the same time, the platform itself can actually facilitate OTC trade among different investors who own the LP interest or the token itself. So this is one kind of I would say, test service provider, and also a platform that we, from time to time, try to look at and see how we can collaborate with them from a mass adoption perspective. And then, so this is more from a traditional asset getting into a Web3 areas, and then also to ride on what Victor just said, DAO. Actually, we also see quite a lot of platform from Hong Kong, Singapore, actually helping individuals or a community to set up their own DAO. So for example, we have Atom in Hong Kong, we have Dory Factory, overseas. So all of this type of platform is actually, again, from our perspective, is helping to drive the mass adoption for Web3. And then last but not least, NFT that we just touched on, and I think all of us has come across a kind of user experience that when you try to buy your first NFT, probably you feel that, okay, you need to set up your wallet first, you need to buy your first token first, and then so when you first set up your first wallet, you need to write down the private key, and then at the same time, you need to, that 12-word, phase, you have to keep it, in your safe, and then don't save it in your phone, etc., etc. So all this type of experience is actually quite, I would say, not so good. And then from a mass adoption perspective, it's actually kind of stopping people to getting into Web3. And then from, for people like Benny, really like crypto, then he may be able to kind of really like get into that field really quick and then use whatever NFT technology that they want. So we find that the user experience, actually, the infrastructures can actually improve quite a lot. And again, from a mass adoption perspective, we see quite a lot of projects trying to improve the user experience from that perspective. For example, in Hong Kong, there's one company called Dotted, DTTD. So basically, the concept is just to help mass market to download their wallet, the NFT wallet, really quickly, easily, without all those existing kind of hurdle that we see. And then this is actually very important because, as you can imagine, from time to time, we actually will see a lot of IP and brand trying to get into this field. And then one of the reasons they try to get into this field is not only to kind of speculate or to earn some money from the crypto market. The more importantly, they try to use the NFT and also crypto blockchain to engage their membership. Or also, for some kind of traditional brand, they may want to use the NFT to engage the young generations. As you can imagine, a brand, like traditional handbag brand, for example, if they have 10,000 membership, if they want to drop an NFT to their member, which is usually relatively, I would say middle class, he or she, those members may not have a NFT wallet at all. But how can they do that? So this type of kind of infrastructure and also wallet or better experience kind of stuff, is actually very important. And then from my point of view is that, if we really want Web3 and blockchain and this technology to be, a mass market things, I think we probably need more projects like this. So the example I just gave is really from different perspective, from investment, from NFT utility, and also from a DAO setup perspective. How can different projects help facilitate the mass adoptions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not lacking of ways to get into digital asset project. As mentioned, there's over 20,000 projects on CoinMarketCap alone. But what we're lacking is some infrastructure or added value service, for example, like a more professional analyst report, right? Not like just from social media KOL, but I think, as a professional licensed firm, asset management platform, I think that's a great value you guys can play by providing more professional analysts to different sectors and projects. So let's try again with Jan and see if he's coming back online from Sydney. Hey, Jan, good to hear from you.
Got
Excellent.
issues with the mic, but seem to be fixed. Awesome, let's go.
All right, excellent. Okay, so we're going to combine two questions for you. So first of all, you can do your self-introduction and also of your company as well. So your company, Step N, in fact, because we are talking about real-life case study today. So I think your company, in fact, is a very good example of real-life case study, meeting many of the above aspects in our definition. Do you mind sharing with us under the hood of Step N? What are you guys doing and what's the tricks of success?
Sure. So Step N, we started off rough same time last year. And we are now one of the biggest Web3 applications with about 1.5 million monthly users. And what we did is that we create a use case that is really relevant to everybody's daily life, which is walking around. And this is not a taught or acquired knowledge. Basically, people learn how to walk, science, like early baby age. So everybody can do it. It doesn't need to be taught. And everybody can do it in different speed. You can walk, you can run. So we basically designed the entire concept of move to earn on this simple concept. And what we did is that we combined a dual token system with a various of NFTs, and to make it engaging with user, meaning that user have set a purpose or set a goal of moving, say, 1K or 10K with spending on energies, which energy replenish on every day. So, trying to train them with a habit. So once they have the habit, they will just do it anyway. So we have witnessed various of, let's say, a GameFi concept go up and down as people exiting the market because they fed up with the app or the games because there's no more content. That always be the issue with games. So what we did is we didn't create a game. We create a game-like app, an application promoting users' health, but using gamification through a tokenomic model and through a NFT model, meaning that it's just adding flavors to rather boring exercise. And that basically has been attract a lot of tractions, and we were able to convert a lot of Web2 users to this space.
Right. What do you find the biggest challenge, as you mentioned, converting Web2 user to Web3?
Okay, the biggest challenge has always been one is user onboarding, and two will be user retention, and three is all the sort of let's say imperfection, not imperfection really. It's really the technicalities. Let's say, for example, how to remember a C phrase, how to transfer gas fees. Those are the hurdles preventing people from joining. So what we did initially to overcome all these hurdles is that we're using a activation code system. Basically, because with new user, they don't understand the app. Second, they don't understand how crypto works. So you really need somebody to hands-on teaching them how to use the app. And no better way you could introduce them through friends and families. So we're really using the model where we're getting a Web3 native user and give them an activation code as an exercise, and they can give the activation code to their friend and family. Once they give to them, the member of the friend and family normally will go back to them and say, how do I do this? How do I transfer fees? How to set up the wallet? And the best part is, many of these our user, we see the pattern is they give a pair of sneakers to their parents and get their parents active in exercising. And then the parent will introduce to their colleague and their friend and families, for example. So it become more like exponential growth after that. So that's one way we sort of overcome the hurdle of user onboarding through one-on-one friend and family structure of user onboarding. And we have also tried a lot to simplify the process. For example, if we talk about like the first generation of GameFi, is people have to be able to have a decentralized wallet. They have a game app, mostly on the desktop, and they have to also understand how to connect the wallet to an NFT marketplace where to buy game asset, which will be transferred to the wallet and then tap into their game. So it's a very sort of convoluted process. So what we did differently is that we combine all these, the NFT marketplace, the wallet, the app itself into one app, and people can navigate inside the app. They don't need to worry about connecting the wallet to the app. And so through that, a lot of the sort of the learning curve has been flattened. And the three basically will be the user retention. We all understand that we have went through more of a bear market, so we did experience a drop in the user active users. But soon after the drop, we started to see the user come back because they found out many people sort of panic sell in the bear market or during the bear market, but then they realize that they still have to get out and exercise. It becomes some sort of their habit. They will not feel well if they don't work. I had that when I keep exercising for, let's say 2 years. I just feel with just wanting to go out for a run. Once it becomes sort of a habit. So user come back and they buy back their asset and they start moving again. So we see it is vitally important to not only focus on creating like a gamified product or game or even socials. We also have to give them some real life benefit. And in this case, is the healthier body. And when the body becomes healthier, people have a sharper mind. And on top of that, we also do donate to carbon offsetting through buying carbon credit on the blockchain and burn them. So it's sort of a triple win situation. And we realized that people are actively exercising, and we formed ambassador program to help organizing local events, because nothing work if people don't meet face to face. You know, we meet face to face all the time on the internet, but it's a different feeling when people meet face to face. And when we throw some food, have a good time, and they will appreciate that experience, and they will continue to talk to their friends, say it is not bad experience, you know. And at the same time, we are connecting people on the Web 2, Web 3, indoor, outdoor, and form a community. I think come down to the end, it is the community that help the growth of the project.
Absolutely. Thank you. This is, I think, amazing, integrating the Web3 into daily life. So people we don't just ask them to directly jump into the metaverse, which is very abstract, right? But now, as you mentioned in your app, many people are already using it in the daily life without even realize they are using a Web3 application, right? This reminds me of a new word. Many of you might already heard about this word called phygital, right? It's physical plus digital, right? So it's integrating physical world with digital. And it further reminds me, I'm started earlier in my early days in the last internet boom. It reminds me when we switched from 2G to 3G, right? We have this thing called the 2.5G, right? I think maybe in the web now, when we're moving from web 2.0 to 3.0, we might need a 2.5 in between to bridge the gap so people can realize the value proposition and all the application. So well done, Jan, on step N. So moving on a little bit. So thank you for the wonderful insights from everyone on the real life application. So just talk about various great life success case from a global perspective. Now zooming in back to Hong Kong, right? As today is a Hong Kong Promotion Week organized by Invest Hong Kong. So we like to know, like, Hong Kong is an international financial hub with very unique advantages, as you can heard from Honorable Paul Chan this morning. And it has always excelled, not based on artificial concept, but based on solid promises and results to market practitioner. So more successful real-life case of what we need here. How do we think Hong Kong can facilitate more real-life case study to be successful in Hong Kong? So may I have some of your inputs from? Maybe, well, actually, Jorn, I would like to start with you this time because recently your company have set up in Hong Kong. So
Yes.
Could you kindly share with us such a decision process, various consideration that you make this wonderful decision come to Hong Kong?
Yes. So we go to Hong Kong for various of strategic reasons. One, Hong Kong as a gateway between mainland China and the West. It is very well positioned for us to acquire talented people, and that is one of the strongest reasons to get high quality developers to work with us, and also considering many of the high level developers in mainland China will not be well English speakers, so we also have to look after them, where they can set up in an environment that they can live comfortably. And second reason is that we are very pro on business development, and setting up in Hong Kong will allow us to do various of BD with business setup in Hong Kong, and including universities. So it will be valuable to us to bring various of ecosystem partners with us and to provide additional value to both end users, not only us, but also the Web2 business users. And the three will be more for the government support. And the most important part, really, we moved to Hong Kong for the food. And I think it'll be good have all the headquarters people, and we go there from time to time to enjoy our food.
Absolutely, I cannot agree with you more. Thank you. So hopefully you can continue to become the evangelist of Hong Kong and help us promote out there. And
Yes, of course.
thank you. And Benny, I understand Animoca has grown from a small office in Cyberport to over 700 people across all its subsidiaries in 10 countries. But Hong Kong's still the headquarters. Can you share with us, like, how do you see Hong Kong have such a good advantage to keep you here and hopefully continue to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're actually running out of space in our office, so we're moving to a newer space at Cyberport, just to give everybody a sense of how quickly we're growing. I think when we think about Web3 and we think about Hong Kong, I think one of the most important things is to tweak our understanding a little bit about the opportunity at hand. What I mean by that is, I think obviously Hong Kong has a number of advantages that I think Jan already mentioned, right? And particularly as a kind of financial hub as well, a lot of the skill set that Hong Kong has in regards to asset management, financial services, et cetera, that has been well kind of documented. But when we think a little bit further, is to think about, well, what is Web3 and what point of history are we in Web3, which is day zero. And so if one were to make the analogies, right? Well, what was the internet back in the 2000s? Or what was mobile internet like about 12 years ago? And how those were seismic shifts in the way that the world really changed and in the way that the industry changed. I think Web3 presents the same thing, but in a very different way, which is that the Web3 unit economics are very, very different from Web2 unit economics, which means that for an entrepreneur, for anybody who wants to build, this really is the best time, right? When markets are kind of low, when there is an abundance of labor and skill, and when the unit economics work towards your favor, this is really kind of the best time to build. Two then is, I think Hong Kong right now is very different from what it was even 10 years ago. And what I mean by that is, I think, and there are parallels, right? When you think about kind of even, like I was saying before, in the US, right? There's a well-documented PayPal mafia, right? Or Yahoo mafia, right? I think in Southeast Asia, so I spent a lot of time in Indonesia almost 10 years ago. And that was at the very beginning of when a company called Gojek actually literally first started. And what you see is the network effect. When you have a number of tech companies growing and developing the local talent, it actually adds impetus for those people to be able to build up those skills and to be able to expand on the network and to build further. And I think Hong Kong over the last 10 years, obviously some local champions like GoGoX, et cetera, have really kind of contributed to the tech sector locally. We obviously also benefit from a recruiting perspective. But from, like I said, I think from a basic infrastructure level, Hong Kong has always had kind of some core values and core competencies. We're now at a point where not only is there a new Web3 industry, but we're also at a point where the local talent pool has been, quote unquote, kind of trained up now because of the local companies, tech companies that have blossomed here over the last 10 years. And therefore, for entrepreneurs who are willing to kind of take that plunge and leap into this new world and to build new products, build new utilities with taking advantage of the unit economics, I really think this is the best time to do this right now.
Thank you. So, Brian, we heard about Honorable Paul Chan speak a lot about how Hong Kong is good for asset management firms and things like that. And we all realize how, like Singapore, for example, is a strong competition, right? So from your perspective, from a business operator point of view, right, how do you see Hong Kong will obviously keep you guys here, like domicile here, and will continue to do that?
I think if we take a step back, I mean, look at Hong Kong as an international financial hub, right? I mean, one of the key advantages that we always have is the capital and also a very transparent regulatory framework in terms of finance, business, and so that is one of the reasons why there's a lot of talent and also capital coming to Hong Kong, and of course the connection with China, and I think for Web3 or virtual asset, digital asset as a whole, I think is pretty much the same directions. I mean, one thing that I think the government can provide more support in terms of, attracting more Web3 or keeping more Web3 talent in Hong Kong is to really give more clarifications in terms of the regulations. And then I think this is quite important because it's kind of circle back to what Benny said. You need to kind of hold a whole bunch of talent here to build a legwork. And then so as an international financial hub in the very beginning, I mean, it's actually kind of natural that some of the crypto-related entities, maybe crypto exchange, maybe crypto trading firms, and then unfortunately some of them choose to left in the last few years because of the regulations. But based on what I understand is they're more than open to come back if the regulation is more, transparent and also more clarifications. I think that part is important. I think the Hong Kong government is actually doing a lot of work on that one already based on our day-to-day communication with the SFC, etc. So yeah, finger crossed. I mean, after this investment promotion, we will see more regulations related stuff coming out. So I think that one is really, really, from an asset management perspective, I think this is really something that we hope to see more. And I believe that once that part is kind of fixed, there would be more capital coming in, and yeah, I think next door we have another session talking about how to strike a balance between decentralization and also regulation. So yeah, I think it's pretty much that particular angle that the government may need to support more. And last but not least, I think Cyberport is actually doing quite a good job on that one. Is really providing more support, community education for the Web3. I think it's simple stuff like having more networking event for the industry, for the community is actually quite important because just like what I see back in 2013 or 2015 when the startup kind of culture coming out in Hong Kong, usually there was two group of community. One group it is Chinese speaking, Cantonese speaking, and then the other group is English speaking. And then one of the observation is usually these two group of community will not kind of join force together for different type of discussions. I'm partly because of the language and also the culture. I think Hong Kong government can actually, or entity like Cyberport can actually provide more, opportunity and value for this type of community to join force together and then make it more a all-rounded community. Yeah.
Absolutely, I think Cyberport have done a great job. And from your point of view, right, apart from incubation of Cyberport, which you guys have done a wonderful job, right? But for company who raise fund, who launch a proof of concept, but I think eventually to become like what we call today, like a real life successful case study, very important issue is the commercialization, right? So how do you see Cyberport can further help company in commercializing two ways to be successful in Hong Kong market, and also for Hong Kong company to go out and be successful in the global market? Because when we're talking about digital service, it's a global competition.
So thank you, Sam. In fact, I think my fellow panelists kind of demonstrate that. Like we have Step N also like joining the Cyberport ecosystem. We have Animoca, which originated from Cyberport now. Is pretty much the biggest Web3 conglomerates in the world, and also attract investment from Singapore government, right? So and I think for the Brian actually mentioned something also very good is the old money. So one of the core strength of Hong Kong is there a lot of old money. Recently, I met an investor from the old money side. Quite surprisingly, because they are low profile. In fact, they are early investor of our virtual bank and virtual insurance company, and also one of the very successful early insurtech B2B company who are now pretty much doing most of their business in North America. So and they are now looking at the Web3 project. And I think the other day, Sam invited me to join their hiking with the Digital Asset Society. And two things very, very interesting. One is pretty much is a investor club. So majority are investors, and most of them are looking at Web3 projects. And another thing very interesting is there is actually an attendee who is I think he's a primary, he's a secondary school like students, who's already like an adult, like talking business, talking enthusiasm of his blockchain project and all that. So these are all
running a club called the Crypto Kids.
exactly. So these are all good example like why Hong Kong will be a very good grounds for developing all these Web3 country project. And not to mention what just Benny also mentioned, the secondary market of leveraging Web3 technology. So Hong Kong has always been a hub of like trading red wine, trading fine arts, antiques, and all that. So those are all very good real life cases that can make use of Web3. And we also like at Cyberport, apart from the incubation program, we also provide different support like overseas program to facilitate our startup to grow overseas. Like it has been one of the primary functions of Cyberport, but of course in the last 2-3 years it has been a difficulty. But now we are full force in resuming that activity. Like recently, we just announced a Tokyo trip in December, which of course is oversubscribed. And then next year there will be other activities, and we will resume bringing students to like Cambridge University for our CUPP program. And also there will be more funding from the government, the strategic tech fund that we can leverage to further support our startups on the after Series B towards IPO stage, which is very important for them to grow, further scale up and grow overseas.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the wonderful sharing for all the speakers today. So to wrap up, may I ask each of you to give a wrap-up statement? Give us the crystal ball, because we are just around the corner to 2013. Well, sorry, 2023. So what should we be looking at? Like, what should we pay attention? Which area? Please, maybe we start.
Yeah, I can start first, and then there's not really a crystal ball anyway. It's not advice, and then I think one of the angle that I pretty much would expect people to see quite a lot of tokenization project is based on STO project is somehow based on the pilot that we are working on right now. A lot of inquiry, and then besides that, I think even in Hong Kong, we will probably see more and more NFT use case from different traditional brand, and that is another one. And then the third one probably would be. I think there will be more and more opportunity about digital identity. This is something that we actually see in quite a lot recently, even in the crypto oriented, because we have been talking about metaverse. You have been talking about VR, AR, how to get into the metaverse. But one thing that people are missing is really after you get into metaverse, then who are you? What is the digital identity that you're gonna hold? Do you have only one digital identity or two? I mean, this type of kind of discussion, I assume that in the next year probably will be quite a popular one. Yeah.
Thank you. Benny?
Yeah, I'll add to that. I echo a lot of what just said. I think obviously I was talking a lot about the gaming space as well as with NFT tickets. By no means is that mature yet, right? I think we're still in day zero. So if there is a crystal ball per se, I think those are very obvious use cases. But then if we're to extend our view a little bit, I think into areas with retailers, hospitality sector, with brands, the way that brands are going to leverage Web3 technologies for CRM, for user acquisition, we're already seeing this, right? And I think you mentioned, Sam, as well, with like digital items. We're already seeing a lot of experimentation with brands. And I think that that is going to be another big catalyst for Web3 adoption because it's so frictionless, right? When you begin to think, hey, if a brand is going to offer a CRM program that's on Web3, maybe to supplement their Web2 program or maybe in replacement of the Web2 program, the draw for you to want to participate by nature is already quite high, right? And so I do think that there are a lot of benefits that brands see in Web3-based CRM. I think we're going to see an explosion in that.
Thank you. Victor?
Yeah, I think first of all, the digital asset by itself is already a major industry that I'm looking forward to see the development. And then carbon credit, given like Hong Kong's vision to become the carbon trading hub, I think Web3 also provide very important support in terms of technology and funding for us to do that. And I guess finally, like echoing to the other audiences is the engagement. So like a lot of financial institution has been using Web3 as an engagement tool, Web3 as well as Metaverse. And they actually start to do it a lot with their internal, whether it's management trainee, whether it's their agents. So to also make use of that to develop talent. And eventually, I think like that will be the future of Web3 becoming seamless engagement tools for us.
Thank you so much. Jon, any wrap-up comment from you?
Sure. I was a VC before, and then I founded Stephen. So from both views, as a builder and an investor, I do find NFT to be particularly interesting, and the trend or the association between NFT and social will grow or intertwine a lot with what's going to come up in the future. The reason I'm saying this is that we've been investing in fungible tokens for many years, and it's all about monetary return, ROI, stuff like that. And then we have DeFi, then we have the staking. But NFT give you more of a NFT. Not only people can speculate on, but people can also grow strong like social identities. So it is a social status, a symbol, and then it's also have all the financial characteristics of a fungible token. So that's the reason I'm saying that it's more rich, more individual in this way. So meaning that it probably will lead the way versus a fungible token. And also, as we go heavily into this online community where all the algorithms sort of put you into the information cocoon, where you only talk to your own kind, and we become almost atomized. So we become individuals. And this trend, as this trend continue, it's only a matter of time we start to see a real, let's say, Web3 social app. And as we can see, all the social app on Web2 are gigantic. And we're probably going to see different social platform on the Web3. I don't know what that is, but it will be essentially different from what we have witnessed on Facebook and Google's.
Thank you, very interesting.
I think, and last point is, I think so far we have wallet on desktop, that's it. But as we grow more closely with holding a mobile, I think Web3 will also starting to migrate from desktop computer to mobile. But it is very difficult at the moment as you have to work really hard with the gatekeepers such as Apple and Google. So that is something that is out of our control. We have to wait for clear regulations, or we have to be heavily complied to Apple and Google rule in order to be on the mobile devices. But if we can break through this barrier, I would say it will create an entirely new landscape, because enable mobile, even AR down the track. Well, I think that will be something hopefully we can head to and add much value to the Web3 ecosystems.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the insightful sharing for all the speakers today. Hopefully you're able to jot down some takeaways. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you once again to our panelists and also Mr. Lee for moderating for us. So would Mr. Ram please remain online because we would like to get everybody up and get a photo together, shall we? All right, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to our speakers again. Thank you so much. All right, we will first have a photo of our on-site speakers together. Please smile for the camera at the center. Okay, we would like to see if Mr. Rong would still be online. And have we also already got the photo here on site? Okay, then we'll have Mr. Rong here on set and the camera can focus on our speakers on the stage and we'll get one group photo here just on the screen, all right? All right, our speakers, please smile for the camera at the back, at the center. And we'll just be having this smile for a few more seconds. 好啦，我哋台上嘅攝影師咧，麻煩讓一讓先，我哋等台上嘉賓們望一望後方攝影機。Okay, please hold for 2 more seconds. All right, thank you so much. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank you once again to our speakers and our moderator, Mr. Lee, for the wonderful session. So ladies and gentlemen, this session has come to an end. I hope it has been a very fruitful morning for everybody. If you require any further information, please feel free to contact the team of Invest Hong Kong. Thank you once again for making time to join us, and thank you also to our speakers for their insights. We'll have more fabulous programs in the afternoon, and we'll see you later. Thank you.